All right. Greetings and salutations to all of my beloved airborne simians. And what up to any visiting sports fans? No fanfare, no intro today. We're just going to jump right into it. We got a lot to do. I'm expecting. And here he is. Boom, right on time.
Perfect timing.
Zackary K. Hubbard.
Yeah. Author of this book right here.
Bill is on it.
It's on my stack of books to read. So,
Zach, good to see you,
actually,
man. Check test, you're muted. Zach, you're on mute whenever you can. And frozen. NK, good to see you. Did he freeze up? He froze up. Okay, listen, let's just jump right into this. We have been talking about Bible translations and what the argument is. It really makes it so easy for them. They take the one legitimate translation. There we are. What?
We have him in stereo.
I'm seeing double. There we go.
Can't hear anything. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me. It made me download an update. And when the update finished downloading, it exited me out, and then I just joined back in, and now I cannot hear you.
We've got you loud and clear, bro.
I'm going to come back if you guys can hear me. Hold on. Technical difficulties.
All right, so I'm going to share this with you. We've been telling you that one of the big names promoting the idea, going too far, taking a good thing to a toxic extreme. Peter Sturgis Ruckman.
What is a Ruckmanite? Oh.
Chick Publications, surprise, surprise, is all behind Peter N-word Ruckman. Peter N-word Ruckman, the guy who actually attacks, says that Desiderius Erasmus is nowhere near as perfect as the King James translation. Surprise, surprise, Chick Publications. And so my first thought is, well, gee, is Christian J. Pinto, because he's adores Chick Publications. And I did a quick search, Pinto, Agilum, Peter Ruckman, but didn't find anything. I was even going to send him a little thank you, though as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't deserve it, for having the discernment to steer clear of Ruckman. John Paul, good to see you.
Check. Good to see you guys.
And I've been going through some of these debates, and the debates are just, when the debate starts on a false premise, you're guaranteed not to win. Guaranteed not to win. They always have somebody like Technicolor James White on there, and then they across from him, they put some whack job that says that the King James is the word God breathed in inerrant word of God. Why is that your premise? Why is that your premise? How are you supposed to win a debate like that?
Okay. Now I can hear you. For some reason, once it downloaded the update, it changed my speaker setting to my mic. I have no idea why it did that, but there we go.
Yeah, that's what it always does. It resets everything. I get that on. I complained all week because Microsoft has these mandatory updates and reshuffles all the audio settings every time it does it. Mandatory
updates. What's the point of that?
Yeah, the point is because they love you, because they want to protect you, because they care about you as much as Google and Facebook and everybody else, and they're going to make you take these updates. How did I open it? Okay, there we go.
Same thing for a human virus, right?
Yeah.
Virus.
Yeah, right.
They care that much that they want 3 vaxes and a bunch of tests up your nose.
I'm right
Get
off the
your
bat.
crock shot. Get
Right
your
off the
crock
bat,
shot.
John Paul's sharing the Roman calendar. Let's see what we got here.
This is the Roman Catholic Church calendar for the year. I just wanted to put that out there. This is nice, easy to look at. It got all the feasts and all of the honorary days and all this bullshit. And, I know we're going to get into calendar issues with Zach. So I just wanted to put that link out there right now. I mean, you can just throw a dart at that thing and start unveiling, I bet, unraveling some gematria there. But have you ever looked at the coincidence, Zach, of the feast days of the Roman Catholic Church when you're deciphering different gematrias for different events, etc.? Yeah, I was just putting that in as a resource for our whole show today, but I'm sure it'll have bearing.
Well, are they claiming the 24th of June is the birthday of John the Baptist? How does anybody know what the birthday of John the Baptist is? Oh, Junipero Serra was 1 July. Oh, the great lover of the American Indian, Junipero Serra. And when Francis did his victory lap in 2015 and had all of his Catholic Congress people surrounding him, they went and they looked on with great adoration the big bronze statue in the Capitol. I'll pull that picture up.
John the Baptist's birthday is sure to be celebrated at the wrong time because the only reference that they had for it is that he's 6 months older than Jesus.
Right.
In the visitation, and we know how they've messed with Jesus' birthday, likely September 11th.
Good for you. Let's see here. Here we go. One of my favorites. All right, well, we'll stop sharing that. Great find, by the way, John Paul. I'm gonna have to archive that, the Catholic calendar for this year. So, all right, who do we have here? Oh, this was Vice President Biden and John Maronite, the crier, Boner, standing above the great Junipero Serra. And so what the Jesuits love to do is hyper-emphasize race and completely de-emphasize the Jesuits in Catholicism. Oh, he hated the dark-skinned people and he was a racist. No. He was an insurgent. He was a military insurgent. Like all the Catholic missionaries. Very, very, very important. September 23rd, 24th, 25th in 2015. Zach, I don't know how well you remember it, but he did Francis did his victory lap. And included both Ground Zero and Washington.
Of course, again, he spoke in Washington, D.C. on the White House lawn on September 23rd, which is the 266th day of the year, and he's the 266th Pope, and the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, equals 266. So, a completely appropriate ritual on a calendar that, of course, is named after a Pope.
And he came in honoring the plot of land that was once owned
by Francis Pope.
Yeah. The sheriff, one of the Maryland sheriffs back in the 1600s. They love that. Oh, they absolutely love that. All right. Well done, John Paul. I'm just jump right into topics here. Let's see here. Hey, Zach, are you tracking? We've been asking ourselves back and forth what opinions in relation to the 1972 death of Biden's first wife. Neil,
Right. His wife and daughter died in 72. And then when he was 72 years old, Beau Biden died at age 46 before he became number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And in Gematria, President Biden equals 72, as does Jesuit order, going in with the 72 names of God in Kabbalah and the 72 demons in the Goetia. And notice on Sunday, 7/2, you got the story about cocaine in the White House. And then everyone immediately assumes it was Hunter who survived that car accident in 72. And so many people are so caught up in the Hunter Biden distraction, thinking that that's some important news story when that's just another nonstop distraction to keep people in the political divide. Every single story about Hunter Biden is by the numbers. I mean, the other week, an image caught of him driving 172 miles per hour. And of course, the other big Jesuit motto at Marum Dei Gloriam has the Gematria 172. So
There's nobody like Zach, is there? It's like there's like 10 detail. I was going to chime in, and he already hit them all. But yeah, we were talking about how the Beau, who you mentioned, died at the age 46 when his dad was the 46th president. Beau is in this picture of Biden being sworn in, and we're wondering if the entire event was this photo op for Biden to be this great, show off his sacrifice to the elite and show off his courage to the American people there. And this inappropriately almost pedophilic angle of Beau there with his leg injury, while this gigantic Reams Bible, which would later be used to swear him in on the White House steps or as president, was there in the hospital room for some dumb reason, for no good medical reason. He'd be in there with his whole ceremony, like they did the thing on the plane after JFK. But anyway, it's all for the photo. So that's Beau. He ends up dying at 46, and we've been talking about this photo in this event, and so we can look at it by the numbers. I don't remember what day it happened on.
Sure. And just to, connect it back to Johnny's book, Illuminati Unmasked, again, Adam Weishaupt, Jesuit raised and trained, founded the Order of Illuminati May 1st, 1776, just before the American Revolution. So you have this Jesuit Illuminati connection, but then you take the Gematria, Order of Illuminati, which he renamed the order, equals 201, like the Jesuit order. And when the 72 crash happened, killing Joe Biden's wife and daughter, it was on Limestone Road, which equals 201. Of course, the pyramids are made out of limestone. Pyramids commonly a symbol of the Illuminati. If you look up the Great Pyramid of Giza, by the way, Great Pyramid of Giza happens to equal 201, but there's 201 remaining layers of stone on the structure. And then fast forward to the death of Beau Biden. Beau Biden died again at age 46, 201 days before Pope Francis's birthday, and Pope Francis' birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 201. He's the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, in a building named the Domus Sancte Marte, which equals 201. And that building was previously a hospital, which was named after Pope Leo, who died on the 201st day of the year. And the Jesuit priest who did the funeral for Beau Biden also did the inauguration for Joe Biden as number 46. And again, that's the Jesuit priest, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, whose name equals 201. And of course, Inauguration Day has been moved to 20/1, like 201, which is also the 201st day of the U.S.'s age each year, if you measure from July 4th. So again, Illuminati, Jesuits, Illuminati Unmasked, this is what they do, and this is why they put their fingerprints over all their rituals. In a way, it's like all the clues are in plain sight. It's just nobody has the Kabbalistic knowledge. People aren't connecting the dots, and they're just tuning into the nightly news for their latest upload. So,
which totally explains why they created the Gregorian calendars, so the numbers will line up.
Exactly. And to make, like, one of the clearest examples I can give people is that right after September 11th, when 2 towers became 0 before they became 1, we invaded Afghanistan. And again, the sitting president at the time was George W. Bush, who was a member of Skull and Bones, who gets their symbolism from how the Knights Templar buried their dead in an ossuary. And of course, the Templar cross in the middle of the Jesuit logo, because they're the old military order of the Catholic Church. But Bush used the word crusade in light of what we did in the Middle East after 9/11. Well, look at the day we invaded Afghanistan, October 7th, 10-7, the day leaving 85 days left in the year. 10-7, the word military equals 107. The day leaving 85 days left in the year. Templar equals 85. Templars, Crusades, new Crusades in the same Holy Lands. History repeating itself. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. All of this synced up on the Roman Catholic calendar. And that's why it amazes me how many people can't see who really runs the show on this earth when we're on the Catholic Church's time. I mean, that should tell everybody everything right there. So
the entire world without exception uses the same Jesuit Christopher Clavius so-called Gregorian calendar. Let me tell you something, Zach. Anytime that I stop by, anytime that you stop by, I'm feverishly writing notes. I did not know that Leah O'Donovan presided over Beau Biden's funeral mass. I'm archiving that right now. Leah O'Donovan that once served on the board of Disney, the collared Jesuit that served on the board of Disney, the mega billion-dollar corporation that sneaks big dicks into their cartoons for the little kids.
Oh, what about their theme parks?
Did you see that the head of Disney this week said he had the quote that was all over the media? Disney does not sexualize children. It's like, come on, man. This has been exposed since I was in first grade. I mean, we were talking about this on the playground back then. So
bullshit flag on the play there.
I covered that in detail in Eaters, and I'll pull that up right now.
Johnny, I just got to, while you're pulling that up, some person will turn into our stream and not know who any of us are, and they'll think we're automatically Republicans or something, or we're just after the Bidens. I always like to make it clear that both political parties are owned by the same Jesuit Masonic cabal. And I was saying how President Biden equals 72. Well, so does President Trump. And again, he's Jesuit educated, went to Fordham. The whole pandemic was perfectly synced up with his Jesuit education, which we've gotten into before and maybe we'll get into again. But they're doing the exact same rituals with Trump. Last year in July, it was 2 days ago, we got the story of Trump. 2 days ago, a year ago, July 14th, 2022, we got the story of Trump's ex-wife falling down the stairs to her death when her and Trump have the famous photo of them on the staircase with the golden banister. But that
buried
was
her on a golf course. Buried her on a golf course, Zach.
Right, and buried her on a golf course. But that was 45 years after their marriage. Of course, he's number 45, and IHS, the Jesuit acronym's 45, like the word ritual. But
Jesuit trained. Not step on you. Just another one's not going to save us. Robert Francis Adultery Jr., Jesuit trained Roman Catholic. Robert Francis Adultery did the same thing with his ex-wife. She supposedly hung herself. They buried her with great fanfare in Francis Xavier Cemetery, and when all the cameras turned off, they pulled her out of the grave and dumped her on the other side of the hill. Go ahead.
Yeah, indeed. And we can get into his whole announcement by the numbers, but last year they buried Trump's wife on the 201st day of the year. That's not an accident. And it's just like it's not an accident that they had their first child together, Donald Trump Jr., on the 201st day of Trump's age. And if you go back and look at their wedding in 1977, the leader of the ceremony's name equaled 201. The name of the church they were buried in equals 20, or not, well, someday. But the church they were married in equals 201. And again, Donald Trump, just another one of these Jesuits, posing at the Vatican with the Pope by the numbers. And again, they're all in the club. They're all in the club.
Have you seen his hat with the 45-47, Zach? Is that something that he was wearing from the beginning? The Make America Great, where the 45-47, or is
that's the new update, right? That's the new update, 45, because he's saying he's going to be number 47, and of course,
little subtle 9/11 right there. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Numerology, but yeah,
that's a good point. In numerology, 45 is 9. It's also the 9th triangular number, and of course, 47 is 11. That's a great point. And again, he was called president-elect for the first time ever on November 9th. Again, the election was November 8th, 2016, but it was called for him early November 9th. And for people who don't know, he has a commercial with Serta from 2010 where it's called Counting Sheep. And he has a conversation with two sheep. and one sheep has a 9 on the side and the other has an 11 on the side. And he's talking about how they'll never count sheep again and how he was born for the job. And he's wearing the same suit and tie that he wore on selection night in 2016, where he was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. And of course, in gematria, Trump equals 47, like president, like White House, like government, like authority, like Vatican. And the list goes on. And then Joe Biden replaces him after being in D.C. for 47 years. And of course, Joe Biden was the 47th vice president who took office with 47-year-old Obama. But yeah, that's a good point about the 9/11 on the side of his hat. So,
listen, I'm very happy to make that distinction. It's a great suggestion, Zach. And I'm not going to hammer people who lean right of center and think that if they are able to put Donald Trump back in the Father Andrew J. White House, that somehow everything's going to be okay again. I promise you, you do not get to that level unless you are thoroughly controlled. Anyone that thinks that it's just this simple, you cannot boot your responsibility. It's on you. They're going to continue to have this level of extreme corruption. Donald Trump spent 2 years with the Jesuits at Fordham and then left Fordham. Our beloved Professor Reply All George swears, and I need a citation on this, that it was powerful Jesuit Cardinal Avery Dulles, who I have verified was at Fordham at the time. I just don't have the citation for how he whispered in Donald Trump's ear, hey, you know what? Us Jesuits at Fordham, we're just not good enough. You need to go to the University of Pennsylvania where it's really happening. And I have inside sources that claim the private University of Pennsylvania is actually secretly controlled by the Jesuits. So this way he gets his private university sheepskin and is somewhat a little bit distant from the Jesuits to help him with his further on career. Dulles is a modern day Carroll family or something like that. Totally generational Jesuit. Yes, of course.
Whoever was the head of the CIA or whatever he was.
Alan Dulles, the man behind
he retired, and then he becomes a Jesuit. Also, it's just insane.
The man behind the Kennedy assassination. John Foster Dulles, Secretary of State at the time. Their two brothers, Avery Dulles is John Dulles' son, Alan Dulles' nephew. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, yeah. And again, these people who are chosen from a young age, just like it says in the commercial, born for the job for Trump. Again, his Fordham education began in 1964, which was 56 years before 2020. And 56 was the number of 2020. Again, in gematria, coronavirus equals 56. So does COVID vaccine. So does Society of Jesus. So does Anthony Fauci. So does Gavin Newsom, who said, he's locking down California because 56% of the state was going to get the virus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. And again, 56 years earlier, Trump's Jesuit education began at Fordham. Well, who was the governor in New York, where Fordham is at the time? It was the 56th governor of the state, Andrew Cuomo, who went to Fordham. And, the first city with COVID was Seattle, Washington, that had its 56th mayor, Jenny Durkin. And then the second city with COVID was Chicago, with its 56th mayor, Lori Lightfoot, who has the same birthday as Obama, who won the 56th presidential election. And
what's
on
that
and
big
on.
building
And again,
in Seattle they got over there, Zach? What do they call that? The first place to get COVID was where in Seattle? And what's the big building?
King County, Corona means crown, big needle.
Yeah, the Space Needle. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You got Melinda French Gates, married to Bill, and Jesuits from France. But also the first celebrity with the virus, the one born in 56, Tom Hanks, who was in Sleepless in Seattle, where his wife dies from illness in Chicago, causing him to move out to Seattle. And in that move, you get a brief insert of his family member who works at the Johns Hopkins, who just happened to simulate the pandemic. It's just funny looking back at all
typewriters, right? Tom Hanks, he still uses a typewriter. Yeah.
Tom Hanks losing to his wife in Jim Rummy by 201 points, and in his social media post, the Corona typewriter. I mean, just blatant mockery. And again, you look at every single one of Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg movies. There's a 201 in all of them. He dies in the day, leaving 201 days left in the year, and Saving Private Ryan. In the movie where he's like a guy from Eastern Bloc Europe trapped in the airport, Department of Homeland Security in the beginning of the movie is watching him on the surveillance camera. That's camera 201. And there's either other ones that I'm forgetting right now off the top of my head. In Sleepless in Seattle, the sequel, he's eating or having a lunch and coffee with the female love interest outside the coffee shop with a big 201 in the background, which for people who don't know, the Gates family are huge investors of Starbucks. A lot of people don't realize how invested the Gates family is in Starbucks, which of course is also out of Seattle. But William Henry Gates, his name in gematria is also 201. And
I was going to say, how about Castaway? Castaway with Tom Hanks, is that a frazzle drip mockery film about Epstein Island kind of thing, or is that what that's all about?
That's a good question. Jeffrey Epstein's had some 201 rituals. It was about a year ago that there was somebody connected to Epstein whose body was found dead outside of a house, and they had to put in the mainstream article that it was found at address 201. And it's just like, God, I mean, how do people catch on?
You mentioned the female mayor of Seattle, Jenny Durkin. I always love to jump into the story. Is she Jesuit educated? A Jesuit educated homosexual. She went to Sacred Heart Private Girls School. What did I see? Jesuit. Oh, Jesuit volunteer. Are you kidding me? The far left pro-abortion homosexual Jenny Durkin. And she replaced, now of course there were two nobodies that were in between her. It replaced the far left homosexual Jesuit seminarian Ed Murray. Ed Murray was able to duck out of any kind of prosecution as a serial boy rapist, including kids in his own family. Ed Murray, the far left homosexual mayor of Seattle, married another man, adopted a beautiful little black boy, and raped him, and still didn't go to jail. And who did he get replaced with? Of course, there were a couple of nobodies in between him and Durkin. A far-left homosexual Roman Catholic, Jenny Durkin. I didn't know that she was Jesuit Volunteer Corps as well as going to a Jesuit convent, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Jews. It's the Jews.
Hey, by the way, you hear that, Jim Caviezel? You ever heard of Governor Murray?
Yeah, there's the sound of bullshit right there.
You guys sound of bullshit.
There's the sound of bullshit right there.
And again, just the whole Jewish argument. I mean, the Jesuits are a Jewish Catholic alliance, but it's obvious who really runs the show. Again, if the Jews ran the world, we'd be on their calendar. And again, who's behind Israel? Again, learn the knowledge. It's obvious. Israel established on 14/5. It's not hard to understand why. There's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament, and in gematria, Catholic equals 145. If you use numerology, it equals 46. Like how there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. David Ben-Gurion equals 145, who declared it a nation. And State of Israel, its official title, equals 201, explaining why David Ben-Gurion dropped dead unexpectedly 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. So, again, I mean, that you can just follow this timeline of 201 rituals, which include this country and a lot of its founding, right through Israel, through the world wars, up through what's gone on with COVID and so many other things, and you can see who's running the show. So yeah, there's no two ways about it. The Jesuits are a Catholic Jewish alliance, but who pulls more weight? I think it's pretty obvious.
That's also very well put, Zach. I don't want to dismiss the role that key Jews have. In no way do I dismiss it, but I like to say that it's roughly the same as how Christians believe were before Pontius Pilate. It was Jewish leadership going with their yarmulkes in hand saying, hey, this guy's a pain in our neck. Would you please kill him? Would you please kill him for us? And that is, to me, as far as I'm concerned, that's a great picture of the hierarchy. People sometimes call them papal court Jews. I do not call them Hofjuden because that makes me sound like a fucking Nazi. I don't use that term, although it's, as far as I know, it specifically means court Jews in the way of papal court Jews. But absolutely, I do not ignore anything. But I'll give you an example of the premier. Will you stop, Fat Nikki? I'll give you an example of the premier bad guy Jew, George Soros, who survived World War II by going around with a Catholic family, pretending to be Catholic and confiscating the property of arrested Jews. And that is why the Jesuits, who really control the show, the Vatican that really controls the show, How is it that Israel is one of the most vaccinated nations in the world? Israel leading the world on proof of vaccination with their mandatory ID cards. What do they call them? They call it a green card so that they can easily roll in the fraud of Laudato Si and climate control and all that. Okay, so absolutely, these Jews are prominent because they're hated. And they're being used as shields. I love to reference Frederick Tupper Saucy's Rulers of Evil when he breaks down Rothschild, Rothschild, Myers, Amschel, Rothschild, Son was the acronym for the original corporation, not Myers, Amschel, Rothschild and Sons and Sons. No, Myers, Amschel, Rothschild, Son. Just like that, to make sure it's spelled Mars, the Roman god of war, Rothschild, Red Shield. Anything you want to know, the Encyclopedia Judaica says they are the keepers of the Vatican treasure. So I do not, great, well put, Zach, I do not dismiss the role that key Jews have, but I'm telling you, they are being pushed to the forefront. If the Jews controlled everything, then why is Jeffrey Epstein a household name? No one above and below him is household. You don't know that Andrew Cuomo and his Kennedy ex-wife were on his black book and frequent visitors there. Andrew Cuomo, the far-left Roman Catholic governor of New York, son of Mario Cuomo, the far-left Roman Catholic governor of New York. That's real power. Brother of Fredo Cuomo, Chris Cuomo, the former anchor of CNN. You have the two politics and propaganda with a 1-2 punch there. No different from any of the other powerful hierarchical Roman Catholic feudal families. The Boggs family comes to mind. Hale Boggs, that was going a little bit too far and may have got himself done in with the plane accident there. Very, very powerful family. That guy was in for decades and then turned his seat over to his wife, Lindy, and his daughter, Cokie Roberts. There you got the 1-2 punch between politics and propaganda. Brzezinski's, Zach, the same damn thing. The 1-2 punch between politics and propaganda. Roman Catholic feudal families. I'm going to shut up. And I don't know if that sparked anything for you.
Yeah, and again, just in this moment of history that we've been living in, where we've seen full-on fascism, the merger of corporation and government, and big government shutting down mom and pop stores and saying, well, that's okay because Amazon and Walmart are still open. Look at who's been the face of these nations in North America. You have a Jesuit-educated leader in Canada, and you have back-to-back Jesuits here in the U.S. from...
Zach, not to step on you, Jesuit-educated son, far-left Roman Catholic son of someone that Kathy O'Brien called a Jesuit, Pierre Trudeau. We don't even know if Zach's right? Father. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's Castro, and if it is, well, Castro's also a Jesuit.
Right,
so.
Yes, very much so. 3 times trained by Catholics or Jesuits, a hyper-devout mommy, and yet we're supposed to believe that he's an atheist communist, right? Yeah, right. Absolutely.
And we just learned in so many more of these previous generation most evil people in the world, Crowley and Hitler, and everybody has bastard sons everywhere. Do we know? We hear that? Of course, Barbara Bush was saying is related to Aleister Crowley. They say the guy taking over for Paul McCartney, the Billy Shepherd character, is a Crowley bastard son. And then I've seen allegations that Obama's mother was Hitler's daughter, bastard daughter, or something like that. I've even heard about, I haven't even brought this up, but I've heard rumor, totally unsubstantiated with no dates or research done, but I've heard that Elon Musk is Pol Pot's bastard son. It's hilarious how much they look alike in like frame and figure. But anyway, sorry to go down that.
Elon Schlong. I don't think for a minute that guy is a real so-called legal entity. He's just a priest bait shell. In no way, shape, or form. I don't even think that he's in any way a decision maker. He's just some sort of Jesuit CIA front man, just like Zuckerberg is. Yeah.
Just like just like the Jewish position in general, what we were just talking about. No, certainly, they don't escape any culpability and very guilty, but they're not the ones controlling the whole conspiracy. They're just the ones who agreed to step out in front and be the villain, the Red Shield.
Did you say Pol Pot? Oh my goodness, no way. I'm looking at these pictures. I'm going to pull these pictures up. Hilarious. And the funny
Something
thing
in my
is,
gut says maybe, yeah.
That's what they love to do. They love to mock us with stuff like this. Pierre Trudeau, Elon Schlong, we call him. Come on. No way. No way. Now, okay, now here's the thing about Justin Trudeau. The facts, the names, places, and dates perfectly coincide. The Trudeaus spent all kinds of time in Cuba. Hang on. Trudeau, what's her name? Maggie Trudeau Castro holding baby. We're promised this is not Justin. This was whoever, Michael that died in another skiing accident, whatever. Okay. They spent so much time in Cuba in the heat of the Cold War. They were pissing people off left, right, and center with this. So the facts support this accusation. I don't know about any facts in relation to the Elon Musk Pol Pot. That's just funny. All right, let's keep going here. And please, Zach, just jump in whenever you need to.
I've said this a million times, but I'll continue to remind people that the first time Elon Musk was declared the richest man in the world was January 7th, 2021, which was the 78-year anniversary of the death of the actual Tesla, Nikola Tesla. And in Gematria, Tesla equals 78, as does Jesuit. So, again, just the sick little jokes. And January 7th, that date's written 7/1 in the majority of the world, like the word Catholic. If you run the alphabetic order forwards, Catholic 71 in reverse, it's 145, which we talked about a minute ago. But again, it's, all these rituals synced up on their calendar, synced up with their number code that matches the calendar. It's just so obvious who controls these puppets, and that's how you can see their puppets. They also said that he was worth $191 billion that day. If you go back and look at the headlines, Society of Jesus equals 191. So does billionaire. So
Elon Musk worth is it 191?
That's what so what's hilarious is they said he passed. If you could just look up that article from January 7, 2021, when he passed Jeff Bezos. In the article, it said he was worth $191 billion and Bezos was worth $187 billion at the time. And then they went back and forth a number of times. But again, Society of Jesus equals 191 forwards. It equals 187 if you run it in reverse. So he was worth 191. Bezos was worth 187 on that day where he supposedly became the richest man.
And of course, Jeff Bezos just loaded with Jesuit, the adopted Cuban Catholic background. Is it okay? Fucking LA Times. I'm sure that's paywalled, so I'll have to grab that.
I got it all archived on my website when that was the headline and story that day from January 7th.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Oh,
totally. There it is. It looks like Fortune has it right there. You just had it up on the Fortune article.
Let's see, okay.
Yeah, there it is there as well for Los Angeles Times.
Okay. Yeah, and I think Fortune is paywalled too, isn't it? Let's see here. Let me get the LA Times up. Incognito. There we go. Incognito. I don't know if the incognito window helps, but whether or not it counts as my free look. That's the game that these bastards play. They give you halfway decent, half news. All right, is this the Yep, January 7th, 2021.
Yeah, that was the 78th anniversary of Tesla's death.
Oh, wow. Nicely done. And I heard you say that. I'm just going to pull it up here. Let's see here. Tesla. Just so that everybody can see it.
He spells it with a K. Nikola.
Yes, it does. Yep. Yep. And let's see here. 2021 minus 1943 is.
Wait a
70
minute. I
years.
don't feel like. Hold on. I got to go back and look at older posts on Wikipedia. Are they saying? I've never seen that before where they make his birthday June 28th because that's Elon Musk's birthday. Are they saying on the Julian calendar Tesla's birthday is June 28th?
Old style.
So that's Julian calendar.
Yeah.
So that's Elon Musk's birthday is June 28th on the Gregorian calendar. What a joke.
Wow. Wow. And they go out of their way to say that. Wow.
It didn't used to say that. That's why I've never noticed that before. I just noticed it right now. I was like, wait a minute, that's never said that before.
Who lists? Are you kidding me? Who lists the old calendar when why? Because you're supposedly Orthodox? Stop. Wow, fantastic. Great eye. Great eye.
Yeah, I can never ignore the day June 28th. That's the day my YouTube channel got deleted for the first time back in 2017.
Yep, mine got deleted one of the times. I mean, we can't keep track of all the times. One of the times was on March 15th. Ides of March. They wanted to have a good laugh at my expense. Wow.
Yeah, tough day for me too.
All right, I'm going to have to add that to my notes. Of course, Soloth Sar, a.k.a. Pol Pot, he was a good little Catholic boy, educated at Ecole Miche French Catholic School in Phnom Penh. No one wants to admit that. Let's see here. French Catholic Primary School. Absolute demon. 1.5 to 2 million Cambodians starved to death.
Hey, since you just said demon, when you get a second, go to CNN's front page. I want to see if they've changed their top story this morning. I don't think they have. You'll see the word demon right on there if it's the same one.
A demon walks among us.
Yeah, so Gilgo Beach, where the murders happened, equals 201. And they had him appear in court at Riverhead, New York, which also equals 201. And again, we're in the time of Cancer, ruled by the moon. Of course, the moon landing was on the 201st day of the year, and Neil Alden Armstrong's 201, going with the object illuminated by the sun. And we're talking about the Catholic sun cult. But yeah, I just look at that headline, a demon that walks among us. And the other thing I've been harping on about is that video game came out recently by Blizzard, Diablo 4, where you fight the demons. And it, they said it set a record, the fastest selling video game of all time, selling $666 million worth in 5 days, when the symbol for the game's a 5-pointed pentagram. But the game released 201 days after the Superior General's birthday. And now their first season, again, this game stays huge. People still play Diablo 2, Diablo 3. These games all stay huge, even though the fourth one's out, because they keep people intertwined with seasons and in 3-month competitions. But the first season for Diablo 4 will begin on the 201st day of the year. And I made the point, I mean, again, people can have fun and do what they want, but part of the joke is they have millions of men right now playing this game. And it's like, where are the millions of men who actually want to fight the demons who rule over us?
Right. No, it's a lot easier to sit and play it in a video game than it is to take a friggin' stand and stop the rape, murder, and robbery that's going on right down the street. As long as it doesn't affect you.
Exactly. That's why they do this. And I mean, again, the entire world of entertainment is controlled by this same cabal. I shouldn't say I'm sure there's some exceptions, but the things that have the mind's eye of the masses, the biggest selling movies, the best selling video games, they're controlled by this cabal. And again, they know how to
controlled bread and circus sports industry. I know that you're all over that, Zach. Probably know more about what's going on in it than most sports fans who are wasting their time with fantasy betting. But when we got time, I got some questions for you regarding the bread and circuses industry. First and foremost, what do you think of Damian Lillard? Are you sad to see him leave the Trailblazers? Do you still have any real like childlike
Oh, I never had any
appreciation and
attachment to
hope?
any of these people. No,
Yeah, well, I remember when you said that you were sad when Cliff Robertson passed away. And,
Cliff Robinson. That was the day after the Jackie Robinson ritual. Well, I was a kid when Cliff
I grew
Robinson
up with
was
David
a Blazer.
Robinson. It was like a rival, and I still love those guys. I see them, and I was going to mention also that the Spurs have so much going on. Makes me think that in this market of 70% of the Air Force is not active people and reserve planes and everything here, and the biggest medical training for all 4 military branches here in San Antonio, huge military city. The last time they had a dynasty was when we were invading and warring in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I think
you had the Twin Towers. You had David Robinson, the Admiral, and Tim Duncan from the Demon Deacons. Yeah, you had the Twin Towers.
And now they get the first pick again. And
so
four Spurs are going to the Hall of Fame next week to get Popovich, Parker, and the first lady head coach or assistant coach in the league. All of them are doing this big ritual. The Spurs are hyped up again because they got the Wembanyama, French phenom guy for pick 1 against the odds again. And there's a lot going on there, I'm sure.
Here's what they did. So, 1976, the Nuggets and the Spurs joined the NBA, those two teams. This was the 76th anniversary season. The Nuggets win the finals. Spurs get the number 1 overall pick. Wembanyama's first game in the summer league, the Spurs score 76 points. In gematria, skull and bones equals 41 forwards, 76 in reverse. The Nuggets won the finals. By the way, San Antonio also equals 41. But the Nuggets won the finals 4-1 on George Herbert Walker Bush's birthday, who was number 41, and they outscored Miami in the finals by 41 points. And Nikola Jokic was the 41st pick of the draft. So this international superstar on Bush's birthday, who always talked about the New World Order. I don't know if you guys saw this, but right after Jokic won the finals, mainstream media showed the ironic photo of him being 5 years old and in Serbia, wearing a Denver Nuggets sweatshirt as a little boy next to his little childhood friend who was holding up a tennis racket. And again, the day before the Nuggets won the finals, the Serbian, who's also nicknamed the Joker, like Nikola Jokic, won the French Open, the land of the Jesuits. And, of course, the Nuggets had advanced to the NBA Finals on Novak Djokovic's birthday. So
and naturally, Wembanyama grew up loving Tony Parker, the only French superstar in recent history, and he's wearing a Parker jersey when he's a little child, and then there he is as a kid, as a Spur. Sure enough, yeah, it's just so rigged. I think Jokic is one character that's kind of funny about it. He's like, okay, job is over. Can I leave now, please? Yes, thank you. Okay, championship. Yes. Okay, parade. Yes. Okay, parade. Yes. But then, can I leave now, please? Yeah. He's funny. He seems to have a sense of humor about it. But I mean, obviously, sold out to the big show.
Exactly. And just for the record, the nickname Joker, which both the guys, Serbian stars from Serbia are called, both their nicknames are Joker. Joker has the gematria of 23. Novak Djokovic won his 23rd Grand Slam, winning that French Open the day before the Nuggets win the finals in 23. And there's some other stuff I'm forgetting about it, but I've been saying it for a decade. It became obvious to me once I learned this code. I was like, these guys who people are worshiping and wearing their names on their back on jerseys, these guys were born for this. That's why these rituals are all so perfectly planned out all throughout history. They have the perfect birthdays, the perfect names for the perfect sports scripts, as the announcer tells you, they couldn't script any better. And now it's getting more blatant because now they're even showing you Nikola Jokic as a 5-year-old in a Denver Nuggets jersey. I mean, come on.
As I'm putting these together and archiving at the same time and trying to keep track and juggling all this, are you kidding me with this? Let me share the screen here.
There it is. There it is. Well, I think somehow you went to CBS News Chris Martin when you were trying to show the photo. I don't know how that happened, but
no. Here, we've had the photo up on for a few minutes here. This is Chris Martin playing at Bo Biden's. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Anyway, yeah. When is this photo supposedly taking place?
20. So they made a point that the photo was taken 23 years earlier. Again, like Joker equals 23. I mean, that's how big of a joke it is.
Right.
LeBron's going back to 23, right? Again, back and forth, 6, 23, 23, 6. So now you can have 3 6 jerseys with 3 different teams and 23.
That whole LeBron passing Kobe Bryant. Let me ask you something, Zach, because we're now looking at the fact that it was so scripted. I want to ask you, what does your gut say? Is Kobe Bryant knocking back my ties with Jeffrey Epstein on Rape Island? Because that whole episode looks so damn scripted. I question whether or not the guy's dead.
Here, all right, let's go through the timeline. 2016, he retires, and right after retirement, he puts out the Kobe Bryant After Death shoe. 2020, the year he dies, what was the big acquisition for the Lakers? AD, Anthony Davis. They call him AD. So, again, Kobe Bryant, whose career was defined by 41. When Kobe scored 81, his team scored 122. So the rest of the team scored 41 points. In Kobe's last game where he scored 60, the team scored 101. So the rest of the team scored 41. They took him off the court in that game with 4.1 seconds left. Again, in gematria, Kobe Bryant equals 41. Golden State equals 41. His dad was drafted by Golden State 41 years before Kobe retired. But remember, Kobe dies at age 41, supposedly, while traveling from Catholic Mass on the Pope's 41st day of his age, January 26th, which was also the anniversary of the death of Bear Bryant in 83. The Pope was 83 years old at the time. In gematria, helicopter crash equals 83, as does murder, like the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. So you have this 41 that's a part of Kobe's legacy, dies supposedly at age 41. In addition to Kobe Bryant equaling 41, so does the word crucify. And the funny thing about that is it was the 74th NBA season in gematria, Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, Roman, use numerology, Holy Roman Empire, Jesus Christ. They all equal 74. So it was the 74th NBA season. Perfect season for a crucifixion, and the common belief is that Jesus was crucified at 33. Well, Kobe equals 33. Just the other day in the Summer League, it was 41 days before Kobe Bryant Day, and the new young star for the Los Angeles Clippers is Kobe Brown, and Kobe Brown played 33 minutes, 41 days before Kobe Bryant Day, playing against Philadelphia, Kobe's home city, and was the high scorer in the NBA for that day. So, again, the same type of rituals continue to persist. But my guess is that Kobe didn't really die. And if he did die, I don't think he died in a helicopter crash, seeing as how the helicopter that they showed crashed was not the same color as the helicopter he actually flew in. And again, I mean, also in that timeline, you have the short film Black Mamba with Kanye West and Bruce Willis, which ends with an exploding helicopter. Just a few days after the Kobe Bryant After Death shoe came out, which was November 2016, the Comedy Central comedy show Chamberlain Heights had the episode where Kobe dies in a helicopter crash. I don't know if you guys know this either, but at Kobe's last game where he scored 60 and the rest of his team scored 41.
Giveaway, right? I'm sorry, go ahead.
The first X amount of fans at the game got a toy helicopter with Kobe Bryant in it. So that was the last gift given out at a Kobe Bryant game, the Kobe Bryant helicopter.
And of course, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan all have one very important thing in common. They're all Catholic. All three of them, the superstars of basketball. Paul Bear Bryant, his mother's name was Ida Kilgore Bryant, and Paul Bear Bryant was born on September 11th, 1913.
What are the odds that they're all Catholic again? And somebody will come back and say, well, you know, that might all be true, but it's always Jews who run the NBA. And again, I'll remind people, Catholic Jewish Alliance. So
absolutely. And I hope to prove to you that the Jews are the puppets and the Catholics are just the managers. I'm looking this up. I love that, the last giveaway. Of course, nobody wants to put any pictures up on the internet of the toy helicopters on the last giveaway. But Philadelphia, the fact that LeBron James surpassed the Bryant record in Philadelphia, hugely Roman Catholic city, thoroughly controlled and corrupted, and of course, supposedly Kobe's hometown.
Are you sure the game wasn't in 38 via? I thought it was at 38 town.
Yeah. With the father, Jelly Bean Bryant being so, I mean, wow. I mean, as far as connections to Rome, like in Rome, like speaking Italian, playing for and coaching Italian teams, old Jelly Bean Bryant was. So,
you know where he went to school, right?
Remind me.
He went to LaSalle Catholic School.
Oh, okay. So,
here's a point to make about that. So again, in gematria, Kobe Bryant equals 41. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Kobe Bryant equals 157. And Kobe died at age 41 on his 157th day of his age. Well, here's other things that equal 157. Staples Center, Jelly Bean, which is his dad's nickname, Joe Jelly Bean Bryant. The word accident's 157. And want to guess how old LaSalle was when Kobe died?
Go ahead.
157.
We have mentioned this several times on several shows. French explorer René Robert Cavelier, the Sieur de La Salle, just a hyper devout and an absolute tyrant. Just look up La Salle. I'll pull it up. La Salle statues publicly paid for, honoring this papist who was so hated by his own men, he died being fragged, as we say in the military, killed by his own men because he was such a tyrant piece of shit. The number of LaSalle colleges all over the place, almost as big as Loyola colleges. Of course, they aren't necessarily Jesuit, but the name LaSalle coming up very frequently in our past shows.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And again, it shows kind of how it works, because you can tell that a lot of these people are probably recruited when they're at their Jesuit/Catholic schools and chosen probably because the adults probably recognize, like, this person has the right attributes for what we need.
That's exactly what the Jesuits do. When we say Jesuit educated, Catholic educated, they have this down to an absolute science. Hey, this is where you can go fulfill. This is where you can be plugged in. A lot of these people that are supposedly either Jesuit or from a different order, seminarians that supposedly drop out and then fulfill very big roles later on in life. Everyone from Tom Cruise to Jerry Brown to
Podesta,
John Podesta, and we always question whether or not they really dropped out, whether or not they're still getting ordained and we're just not being allowed to see it. I keep forgetting the name of the homosexual pilot there that was involved in the Kennedy assassination. It'll come to me. He was also supposedly a seminarian. Yeah, question whether or not they're in the seminary and they're being told, you know what, you're going to be a much better fit for us. You go ahead and drop out and we're going to plug you into the CIA later. We're going to plug you into politics. We're going to plug you into fill in the blank. Oh, the Brown family, by the way, another Roman Catholic feudalist family. Daddy Brown, governor of California, baby Brown, governor of California, not once, but twice. And I question whether or not, good grief, it'll come to me, whether or not Lee Oswald was a sexual conquest. Hang on, let me see this cast of.
Just in the interim, LeBron James went to St. Vincent St. Mary High School, straight out of high school, so straight out of Catholic school. And was it what's a like a intellectual kind of like liberal arts small Catholic school even doing, having a basketball team? Isn't that more like a state school thing? You know, you don't see that except for the big markets. But sure enough, when that March Madness rolls around, there's always 15 or 20 Jesuit schools right in the mix. And it's like, you know, what does a small Catholic school need to have a big program for? Oh, those students are interested in your, you know, ancient theological curriculum. I don't really buy that.
David Ferry. David Ferry was the name of the supposed CIA daredevil pilot. Here he is in his cassock here. He had this rare disease. Let's see if I can pull up this. Here it is. Here is the photograph of very young Lee Oswald under the authority of David Ferry and the Civil Air Patrol. Here's Ferry on the left. Here's Oswald on the right. Can't help but wonder if he was a sexual conquest. Had ruined this poor kid, put him under his wing. Oswald, of course, a Marine that transferred seamlessly his citizenship from the United States to the Soviet Union and then back. And not just there and back. Went to the Soviet Union, married the daughter of a well-placed Army intelligence colonel, brought her back to the United States, all without a hitch. Many people believe, not many people, pardon me, some researchers, such as me, believe that one of the things that kept Lee Oswald alive and in power in the Soviet Union was the United States, the Jesuits, the CIA, scumbags that they all are, gave it to the Soviets. They were being plagued with U-2 spy planes that were breaking all kinds of records, taking intelligence from 80,000 feet up in the air. And the Soviets had no idea because the Soviet Union was a joke, always has been a joke. And as Lee Oswald delivered the keys to how to shoot down a spy plane, precipitating the Francis Gary Powers incident. Having his Lockheed spy plane being shot down, and that was his bona fides. And we talked about just the other day, Robert Philip Hansen, Opus Dei FBI man, just feeding the Soviet Union intelligence for 20 years, and the brave men in the FBI just couldn't figure it out. And then it was brave Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic Eric O'Neill that nabbed him and immediately retired.
By the way, did I ever mention about that incident, Johnny, when the news broke about that? Somebody said, "Oh, did you hear about this guy Hansen? Yeah, he just got arrested by the FBI." And then somebody else says, "Oh, wow, yeah, his daughter is my philosophy professor." Like, oh shit. So I was there at Roman Catholic University of Dallas, and Hansen's wife had a cushy, probably 10-year track job there.
Wow. And they claim his Opus Dei priest had a lot to do with him being, hey, his priest knew, but he was keeping that confessional solid, just like John of Nepomuk. Shh. But the priest
Catholics, how do you live with that, right? How do you live with that? Is that's still valid for you? Your confession is that sacred? That's like enemies of clear and present danger is not going to
that whole thing thoroughly controlled. Hawkeye, good to see you, brother. We're excited to have Zach in with us today, giving it to us by the numbers.
Absolutely. I was trying to get in with just back up a couple steps. Remember, Bryant died shares a death day with Edward Jenner. Remember Edward Jenner, first vaccination. 14th of May, feast day of St. Corona,
Hawk,
1796. Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Give that, and I want to go tell you what Zach found. Go ahead and finish that.
Oh no, just the Bryant Jenner. So this idea, though, that they're having a death day connection with Bryant's death, and then of course what would eventually lead into the pandemic and the child vaccination program, the residential school system program 2.0.
Good for you.
That's good. I didn't connect that. Yeah, Edward Jenner died on January 26th, the same day Kobe died in history. Vatipedia
is claiming that Nikola Tesla was born on 28 June of the military Roman calendar, just like Elon Schlong was born on 28 June in the religious Roman calendar, the Jesuit Roman calendar for the Julius Caesar. Great eye.
Great find. Yeah, somebody had asked the question in the chat as well about gematria. I think that, and I've been coming at it saying, just as I've been discovering too. I think Zach, brilliant work, man. But whether Wikipedia itself is in itself a type of cipher, but the Gregorian calendar, of course, 4 October 1582, the death date of Teresa of Avila, the uncredited source, her uncorruptible hand, the uncredited source of the MCU's Thanos short for Athanasius, the Thanos gauntlet. Remember
you never threw that out before. Are you kidding me?
Remember the time stone and the Thanos snap? They control time. So
well done.
And overnight at the snap of the thumb. So 4 October, when Teresa of Avila died, whose confessor, remember, was Francisco Ribera, creator of Futurism. So
stop, back up. Hit that again. Thanos as short as a nickname for the name Athanasius. Who held that name, Athanasius? Athanasius Kircher, the godfather of the virus, the godfather of what else? Movies. What else? The godfather of. Go ahead.
Well, I think he's also the polymath credited with what I don't know if microscope lenses. Not that we need to go down that road, but he's credited with so many things. But apart, remember, just as Frederick Tupper-Saussure III, Freemason Jesuit, would say, Athanasius Kircher combined with Eusebio Kino's Cowboys, or Kircher's camera combined with Eusebio Kino's Cowboys, gave us the introduction of the indoctrination with kinema.
Just an anecdote. Athanasius was probably named for Athanasius of Alexandria, also called the Confessor or the Coptic Christian.
Awesome.
Athanasius, yeah.
Just like I think that it's important, yes, to get that base level. Just like the Francis isn't always Xavier, but it can be attributed. Remember, context is key whenever Franklin or Francis is being used. But there's always that tie into Francis of Assisi. I think for the surface.
Yeah, not to overlook the evils of the Franciscans as well. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, absolutely validated. In the Greek, Athanasios and Thanos, absolutely related. Well done, Clint. Outstanding work.
Hey guys, we could probably go in a million tangents, and I hope we will. But I was thinking that we were talking about Vicarious Filii Dei, and maybe that'd be a good way to have Zach demonstrate some simple gematria for those that may not understand. As he's so excellent at doing. We got
Clint and Darnell in the house. Zach, so Latin has a form of gematria in it. Some of the Latin letters simultaneously have a numerological value. Have you done anything with that? Looked into it? For instance, the title Vicarious Filii Dei, the Vicar of Christ on Earth, that is held. If all you do is line up the numerological values in the Latin, and it equals 666. Have you used that as a cipher at all? The numerological value within Latin.
That is definitely something I could do. I have not.
Brand new one more cipher to add to the others. Great job, John Paul. Let's see here.
Yeah, I wanted to toss out the O'Brien trophy, Roman Catholic.
Sure, go ahead, Darnell. Go ahead.
So Larry O'Brien was a Roman Catholic. Trophy's named after a Roman Catholic. I noticed the basketball key, the arc. It looks like a Roman arc, the key on the court, on both ends of the court.
Sure.
Resembles a Roman arc to me.
Well done. We could spend the entire weekend going through how much Rome owns football. And I, again, have to owe Zach with finding out just how much we should be crediting devout Roman Catholic George Hallis, along with hyper devout Jesuit seminarian,
Well,
Vince
I
Lombardi.
mean, that's the most obvious thing with the Super Bowl is what's the name of the trophy?
You bet. The Lombardi Trophy. I mean, not
Jesuit?
just Jesuit trained, but a seminarian, I suppose, almost priest.
Who died unexpectedly the day before the 1970 season began at Georgetown.
Wow. We can.
Here, just to go back to a simple explanation of gematria, I always like to start in the same spot because it's the thing that showed me that there was definitely something to this. That once upon a time, I was trying to figure out what it was about numbers and rituals because I saw that the authorities ruling over us, that they were using numbers ritualistically, and it was just beyond a shadow of a doubt to me, but I didn't understand why. It didn't make any sense. It was confusing. I was looking for answers. And then finally, I found a little excerpt from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And I learned the most simple cipher of the English language. I learned, period, that there was a practice of coding numbers into words, something I had never thought of before. And I thought, that's interesting. So I started looking if it was something. And again, the first cipher I learned was A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5 up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. And I back then I just did everything by hand. I'd write out words and make sure I added up the words right. And I just started to realize there was something massive about the number 74. For example, just alphabetic order. English is 74. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, is 74. Occult is 74, meaning hidden. And here it is, hidden right in front of our face. Masonic is 74. Words like energy, 74. Nuclear, 74. Weapon, 74. Which starts to make a lot of sense with 9/11 and the World Trade Centers on the 74th meridian and the Manhattan Project and why they called the site Ground Zero, which was terminology that was at first exclusive to the bomb projects. Ground Zero, the definition was a point above or below ground where a hydrogen, atomic, or nuclear bomb explodes. But also what stood out to me right away is just the name Jesus, which isn't the original name. Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables. They're all 74. Of course, gospel's the story of Jesus. He spoke in parables. I remember one of my friends said, well, maybe just like a ton of things add up to 74. Maybe it's just kind of like weird thing about the language. I was like, okay. So I was like, how can I see if everything adds up to 74? So I decided to write out all 50 states. I thought, well, if everything adds up to 74, a lot of these states should equal 74. Well, as I found out, only one state added up to 74, and it just happened to be the 33rd state. And I thought that was interesting because I was going, Jesus on the cross at 33, and again, Jesus cross. So then I started to think about like, what are some infamous deaths in history? So I started looking deaths, and I started to notice how many people died 74 days from their birthday, or how 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents died on 7/4, not to mention holiday equals 74. And the other cipher I learned at first was the alphabetic order with numerology, where Independence Day also equals 74. So I was like, think about that. This English-speaking Christian nation with the 7/4 birthday, all this 74. I just learned the other day that Jefferson and Adams, who died together on July 4th, 1826, 1826 days before Monroe died on July 4th, I just learned that they had a letter expressing their concern about the resurgence of the Jesuits. I was like, maybe that's why they died.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
Yeah,
What a coincidence. And that's because they were supposedly suppressed from 1773. They were suppressed at the exact time the United States was born, which is why we absolutely believe, I agree with Frederick Tupper Saucy, that they were secretly underground manipulating the American Revolution while it was going on. And then they came back in 1814. So, John Paul, you had a great, we did a great rabbit trail. Go ahead, Hawk.
The one of the new versions of the C19 XBB 116 on January 16th, Thomas, I don't have the year off the top of my head, but before his death, he signed. There's a tight connection with the freedom of religion in the United States. So there's something going on there with the numerology. But what I did want to add back to just Vince Lombardi noticing his death date. So 3 September 1970. 3 September. Remember the anniversary day from 1539, which Pope Paul III, Alessandro Farnese, declared after listening to Ignatius Loyola to present his formula. This is the finger stroke of God.
Totally sidetracked. I'm thinking of.
Sorry about that.
Totally
What's
sidetracked. I'm thinking of what John Paul shared with us, how George Herman Babe Ruth's first wife died tragically in a fire, and no one knows anything about it, and everyone involved, including the fire chief, were good Catholics. Here he is with his vote for hyper devout Roman Catholic New York Governor Al Smith on his course good night of
first Catholic presidential candidate, and it's for whom they have a yearly, extremely decadent and disgusting
Al Smith dinner.
Al Smith dinner,
where all the puppets have to come out and make the Pope of America, the Archbishop of New York, make him laugh.
It's like a self roast for the Pope of America.
Al Smith
Here,
dinner.
let me finish this point I was making about 74, though. I wasn't quite done. I had to get to the best part to bring it back to the Jesuits. Okay, just 74. The 74th day of the Roman calendar year is to remember the killing of Caesar, the Ides of March 15th. And the word killing itself is 74, so is stabbing. He was stabbed to death. The word drown is 74. Just a couple weeks ago, we had the drowning of the 74th pick of the draft, Ryan Mallett. And on that same day, another Ryan was dead in the news, guitars for the band Polaris. And in the article, they talk about how the band has a new album coming out, which has happened to be 74 days after his death. And that was the same day that Ryan Seacrest was promoted to the new host of Wheel of Fortune. And for the record, if you use numerology, Wheel of Fortune equals 74. If you don't, tarot equals 74, which goes with the whole occult thing. And the oldest known tarot deck, if people don't know, goes back to Italy around the same time as the Gregorian calendar, and English being standardized with the 26-letter alphabet. But again, Wheel of Fortune's a tarot card, which are both 74 things. So anyway, just to bring it to the Jesuits. One of the most infamous deaths in recent decades, still an unsolved mystery that's in a lot of people's minds, Tupac Shakur. Again, Tupac Shakur, his death is really a great case study, and I think you guys can take this further, but people didn't get the jokes. So after Tupac's death, they put out the album Machiavelli with him on the cross like Jesus, and they put it out on Remember the 5th of November, which is Guy Fawkes Day for the Jesuits. And the big hit song on that album was called Hail Mary, which just couldn't be any more Catholic. And by the way, when Tupac's mom died in 2016, her death was announced on the real Machiavelli's birthday. But here's the thing. Machiavelli was supposedly hated by the Catholic Church and banned by the Catholic Church. Machiavelli's famous book, The Prince, is based on Caesar Borgia, who White Jesus is modeled after, and Tupac died on Caesar Borgia's birthday. So Tupac, Caesar Borgia, The Prince, Machiavelli. And
didn't Machiavelli also famously fake his death? And that was also a big thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that alias, the way he spells it, Machiavelli instead of Machiavelli, the way he spells it equals 74, like Jesus, like cross, like Messiah, like gospel, like parables. The word rapper also equals 74. And there's been a lot of rappers who've performed these Jesus rituals and been killed in similar numerical codes. Nas, who's still alive, in his very high budget music video, he's carrying the cross, the crown of thorns. And of course, he has God's son tattooed on his body.
Were Tupac's parents also, respectively, the male and female leaders of the Black Panthers at the time? Is that
I don't know about
accurate?
his father, but his mother was, and even the film that about him called All Eyes on Me, based on the last album that came out while he's live, it starts with his mother at the courthouse as a Black Panther. And for the record, if you use numerology, Black Panther Party equals 74. And all of the original Black Panther meetings, for people who don't know, were in Roman Catholic churches in the Bay Area. So, and again, it's why Black Lives Matter has all the parallels with Society of Jesus and Gematria. But
yeah, because their parents, they had FBI teams and stuff that were cooking up sort of East Coast, West Coast hate for the Panthers back then. And the same crowd, the same office in the FBI then starts messing with East Coast, West Coast gangster rap wars in the 90s.
Sure. But with regards to November 5th and the cross and this album coming out on that date, What just happened the other year at a hip hop concert on November 5th was in Houston at the Astro World tragedy, where the stage was a giant upside down cross. And again, the next day,
This Tavistock concert. Yeah,
sure.
There was just a recent concert with a bunch of deaths just recently also.
Tavistock is in Travis Scott. Is that the okay? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I was. Can I?
That was at the eighth wonder of the world, by the way, is what they used to call the Astrodome.
Hawkeye, go ahead.
Oh no, just so Tupac Shakur his death date being September 13. So we have the anniversary day of 29th Jesuit Superior General, the anniversary day that he began his generalate, September 13, 1983, and of course him being Superior General throughout right up until 2008, 14 January.
You talking about Kolvenbach?
Yes, and then there's a tie-in with Kolvenbach. Somebody had also, sorry if I didn't catch the name, dropped today's Ellen Gould White's death date anniversary, and there's something intimate going on with the Jesuit order, but also the Jesuit Superior General Kolvenbach and the Whites.
Wow!
Anyway.
So the prophetess of Seventh-day Adventism.
Yeah. So I don't know. So we have Ellen Gould White.
Yes. 16 July confirmed. Wow.
Yeah. But how about this though? So her birthday, 26 November 1827, on that anniversary day, 26 November 2016. So Hans Kolvenbach, Peter John Kolvenbach, died in where? In Beirut, Lebanon. Beirut. And it just so happened that in 2020, remember the port of Beirut,
the explosion on Obama's birthday.
Obama's birthday, but also James Springer White, Ellen Gould White's birthday as well. But correct again too. But just this, and there's this intimate connection because we've been asking the question of Adventism, the connection with William Freemason Miller, Ellen Gould White's and her husband's the gravestones, and now this death date birthday connection. With, with the Jesuit Superior General. Go ahead.
Barrage of Freemasonic false Protestantism coming around the 1840s, to definitely to include Seventh-day Adventism, especially with their founders.
Although we have a lot to do with Adventism because there are good Adventists today that we believe are solid Christians that are calling out Rome, and that's the common theme. Hey, how about Art of War and William Frederick Tupper Saucy III, Jesuit Freemason, rulers of evil, useful knowledge about governing bodies, a direct revelation for me from Walter Veit. So
Walter Veit's one of his series collections is called Rekindling the Reformation. And he doesn't say rekindling the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You know, he's talking about the real heroism that happened through the Holy Spirit, as we Christians believe, when people dared to face getting burnt alive, to face getting crucified, face getting tortured and ruined by standing for the gospel of Jesus Christ only, and no church magisterium, etc.
All right. Wow. Where do we go? Let's see how much time we have. We have been on for an hour and a half.
Another thing on 74, Erica in the chat was saying, they're saying that there's 74 genders now.
That's funny.
Are you serious?
That seems like a joke, but that's a good one. Yeah.
All right. That's probably my ghost ninja busting my balls. I don't think that's.
Just so you know, the Event 201 simulation was also on the day leaving 74 days left in the year, October 18th. And again, that's a reference to Luke 10:18, where Satan comes to our earth, because the sister simulation of Event 201 was Clade X exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared on May 15th, 2018, which is the day to celebrate Mercury, which is that curious ingredient in jabs. And then that goes right in with how you brought up how Kobe died on the Edward Jenner death anniversary. And then Kobe was buried in Corona Del Mar at the start of coronavirus. And one of the big stories when he died is that he was fighting a pharmaceutical battle, legal suit over somebody using his Black Mamba branding. And if you look into a Black Mamba snake, its venom is known for making people's hearts stop, which is curious.
Isn't it the most venomous snake? Is that correct?
That I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it is, but we just know what's happened to a lot of people.
Darnell, can you tell me what's going on? Is some kind of new false flag here? What is this? People hospitalized from Ed Sheeran concert?
Yeah, that'd be something interesting for Zach to look at. But the Ed Sheeran concert in Pittsburgh, were 17 people hospitalized, and I think there was a vax mandate at that concert also.
I missed that one.
What's the reason for the hospitalization?
Two in cardiac arrest, 17 hospitalized. It said a lot of people passed out. I have to look at one of these.
All right, I've got your link here in the chat.
This just happened.
Happened. Let's see, some days ago.
The last week. Okay, it happened. I'm seeing 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ghost Ninja smartass in the chat says I'd have to be hospitalized too if I went to see Ed Sheeran in concert. So, no idea who that is. All right, listen. I don't. What is he? A folk singer? We don't automatically say false flag, but it sure seems like that's what goes on every time the mainstream media feeds something up to us. There's a broad spectrum, a broad continuum. They can take a real event and blow it way out of proportion, which is one of the tactics and techniques. I like to give you names, places, and dates and say, okay, because of this evidence, I believe this is a completely fabricated event or it's a partially real event, etc. But I'm telling you, it just seems like absolutely everything that's on the headline is being manufactured in some way, shape, or form. So
yeah, it could be false flag. It could be, he was a big proponent of the shot. Maybe a lot of his fans got the shot. There could have been something there to trigger that.
Zach, I'm sorry, Darnell, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're trying to blame the weather, but this doesn't make sense. So
I think that's a good instinct. Yeah.
Then you've got Zach. Then you've got the DeMar Hamlin bullshit, where they know it's like fishing. It's like false flag fishing. They know we expect something like that, and then they serve it up to us on a platter, and turns out that it's complete bullshit too. So,
you know about Ole Damagard, Zach? You listen to any of what he brings up?
Well, he's all on about the shoes. Is there something new?
But no, the fact that you're aware of who he is. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's the premier name in false flags. We've interviewed Ole several times. And,
he breaks them down great, but I don't know that he ever overlaps into gematria breakdown or anything like that. But he always finds clues pointing to future events from previous events, makes amazing connections. And I think he's just a special person in the movement because again, we don't see eye to eye on everything, as of course many people don't. But Ole's work is awesome and not to be discounted. And it would really be an interesting thing to combine with somebody like Zach's work.
We were just looking the other day at Matthew McConaughey laughing his way through the Uvalde press conference at the Father Andrew White House. Pointing to his Hispanic Roman Catholic wife and say, "Hold up the shoes, honey. Hold up those big green Converse that poor little girl was up in." And he starts to laugh again.
How about the fact that Converse was acquired by Nike? I was going to make a joke about, it's not a Nike shoe. It must not be the event must not have been sponsored by Nike. But interesting enough, so Nike acquired Converse in the early 2000s. And Chuck Taylor, the namesake of that model of shoe, actually has a June 24th, so the same birthday as Freemasonry. Shit.
Yeah, June 24th.
So there's back to this underhanded, the fact that there's this sneering, the duping delight that as soon as McConaughey mentions Alethia's name, drops his head, wipes his mouth with that asshole grin, and if whether people catch that or not or want to believe it or not, it's there. And then he points to these shoes, which are what are they, size 13s, size 12, 13s?
Yeah, right.
And apparently she wore those every day, and yet they look like they come out of the box with a heart on the right toe.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a little girl wearing those monster green Converse. Green. What wasn't Ole saying green was important too?
And look how big they are.
Here, I remember everything about this off the top of my head. So,
Awesome,
okay, the
awesome.
shooting happened in Uvalde 201 days after McConaughey's birthday. And then he spoke at the White House with the Green Converse 150 days before his upcoming birthday. If you type in Green Converse, you'll see it equals 201 forwards, 150 in reverse. So, perfect ritual. And for the record, Illuminati equals 150. Like they say, the sun's 150 million kilometers away on average. Order of Illuminati is 201. But Green Converse, there it is. You got up on the screen, 150, 201. And then, so the day that, okay, Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. And John Havlicek died the day that Joe Biden announced he was running for president. John Havlicek wore the number 17, died 17 days after his birthday, NBA 17. For people who don't realize, Joe Biden was born 17 years after RFK, which is also interesting to the day. But and RFK gave a speech about gun control right before his death. And for the record, gun control equals 139, and he died 139 days before the nation's first major gun control act in 1968, which was also 201 days after the assassination of MLK. But coming back to the Uvalde thing, okay, the reason I'm bringing up Biden and Celtic, the day that Joe Biden was with all those candles around him and gave his gun control speech on Uvalde, he mentioned how 17 children, again, the Celtics are green, right? Green Converse are associated with basketball and the Celtics historically. But the day that Biden gave his speech about gun control in Uvalde, if you go back and listen to that speech, first of all, the speech was listed as being 17 minutes long. He says the number 17 many times in the speech and closes it out by saying how they'll mourn for 17 more days in Uvalde. But if you go back and look at the day of that speech, it was game one of the NBA Finals between the Warriors and the Celtics. And the Celtics came back and won that game late with 17 unanswered points. And then you'll recall right after the Warriors won the finals over the Celtics, who died? Bill Russell, who went to the Jesuit school San Francisco, University of San Francisco, and who played for the Celtics. Bill Russell died right after those finals ended. And what day did he die? He died on the anniversary of the death of Ignatius of Loyola, which was the last day of the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. So again, you got the Jesuit numbers, the Jesuit Illuminati numbers all over Uvalde. And another sports ritual that was connected to Uvalde is, if you want to go back and look, the Yankees started a 15-game winning streak the day of the Uvalde shooting, and that first game was won on a comeback by the Yankees off the bat of a player who's from Texas in a city that neighbors Uvalde, but they had a 15-game winning streak that ended against the Houston Astros, and the 15th win came on the day of the New York judge ruling in favor of concealed carry permits in New York City, and the word gun itself equals 15. So again, we're always talking about this too, just how it's all scripted, the politics, the sports, the news, the legal matters, or we're living in this one big Jesuit circus where they got it all connected, all rituals together. I can't tell you how many times they've synced up Aaron Judge with some kind of legal judgment. Every year, Aaron Judge is setting some major record, surpassing Babe Ruth, supporting or surpassing Roger Maris. He's constantly doing it in the time of Yom Kippur, which is about judgment. It's just, if you can just see the rituals and know what the dates are on the calendar, like where we began, again, you'll see what they're doing in this world. And it's a mockery. And again, it goes to that phrase, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And those who don't know what day of the year is are doomed to not even catch on to what's going on. So
Homer, as Saucy would say, those of us that think, paraphrasing, that's looking at history and realizing some kind of conspiracy are those of us that are and have studied it. I was just going to make an asshole joke about, we don't just sit back and point at, just as Biden there, the news reel you were playing, and just point out, oh, gold fringe flag. No, there's clearly
gold fringe.
Step back, big picture. There's clearly, just as Zach was saying, the big picture, which clearly points Jesuit order, Rome, so on and so forth.
And that absolutely is the utility. System. That absolutely is the value and utility of Zach's work. Is you look at this and the evidence piles up that it's beyond the possibility, beyond the realm of random chance. This clearly has the mark of design behind it. Let me go around the circle as we start to wind down, if anybody has anything specifically for Zach. Darnell, how you doing, man? You have anything specifically for Zach?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I did want to mention though that I put in the chat that basketball is a sport. First one official in 1936, 666 in Berlin, Germany, in the Olympics.
Oh, well done.
That's interesting. They do a lot of 666 stuff with basketball. Again, when Kobe had his career high, it was his 666th game. He did a workout called the 666 workout. In Sumerian gematria, we just multiply the alphabetic order times 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, so on. Basketball game equals 666. The NBA Finals 666. We definitely talk about that number a lot with basketball. So that's a good catch with 1936. Again, for people who didn't get the first time, 666 is the 36th triangular number, meaning if you had 1 through 36 together, it equals 666.
William, we've been jumping over you. You're too nice to get a word in edgewise. Anything for Zach on the way out?
Well, I just been patiently listening and taking this all in. For those of you who are interested, Zach, what is your website?
Oh wait, let me double check. I've got this all lined up. Are we okay? So are we still number games 9/11 to coronavirus? Is that the latest, Zach? The latest book?
I still haven't been able to finish my latest book. It's on Rewrite 10,000. So
okay, Gematria Effect News. I've got that website, gematriaeffect.news. Do you still have Gematria Effect News number 25 on YouTube, or do you have to swap out to a new YouTube channel?
I've been able to keep 25 alive. They finally just took down Gematria Effect News 24, but for the time being, 25, 23, 22, and sports are still up. The reason they took down Gematria Effect News 24, which pisses me off, is because I had not been using that channel for a year, and they just took it down. I wanted that channel to stay up more than any of them because it had all of the cities we went to as we drove across America, bringing people together in each city to talk about what's going on. And I guarantee Google did not like that. It's funny. They took the channel down exactly 263 days after September 11th. And I don't think that was an accident. Because again, if you add up the 3 flight numbers, flight 11, 77, and 175, the 3 that supposedly hit targets equals 263, which again is the 56th prime, the big Society of Jesus number. So I think it was kind of a sick joke for why they took down that channel, because that's what that whole road trip was about, was 9/11. So
are you doing Odyssey backups there?
Odyssey doesn't. It gets tedious because Odyssey does not back up at least it doesn't back up my videos if they're like longer than 20 minutes. If they're under 20 minutes, it'll automatically back them up. If they're over it, it doesn't back them up. I have to do it manually. So I haven't been the best about it.
All right, outstanding. And
anyway, as I was saying, this is available. This book is available Amazon. Is that correct? I don't remember where.
Yeah, Amazon's actually got the price way down too. It seemingly isn't selling any copies because I'm not getting paid anything, but they got the price way down, so it's never been cheaper.
Yeah, well, now's a good time to get this book, and while you're there, pick up this book as well, The Eaters of Children by Johnny Cerrucci.
Yeah, I never got to the Disney portion of that. So much there. Yeah. Walt Disney, a homosexual pederast, also a good Jacques Desmoulins boy.
Yeah. Well, how about let's just add Eaters of Children, the Pedocracy Exposed, how access to power is granted through the rape, torture, and ritualistic slaughter of the innocent. We've been saying, this new film released 4th of July, Sound of Freedom, as GP would say, Sound of Bullshit, is the sanitizing version of the book that Bill was just holding up, Johnny's Eaters of Children, third book released September 11, 2017.
Hey man,
and the reason you selected, we could purposely select certain dates as well as for your publication dates too. So being intentional about that as sometimes as the FU to the system, the Roman Catholic.
Yeah, that was my intent. William, were you able to get everything out? Anything else, Bill?
No, that's it. It's great to have Zach, and
absolutely
look forward to having him on
Zach.
again. And really, it's slowly clicking with me, but everything takes time with me. But
just pay attention to the headlines 4 days from today. There'll be some whoppers. There always are on the 201st day of the year,
20th. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I did watch last night. I did watch your latest video and about the shooting and the numbers behind that. That's just mind blowing. How that lines up.
We've got an anniversary. I don't know what number anniversary yet. The Jesuit suppression anniversary. So 21 July from 1773. We have the latest Nolan film, Oppenheimer, is being pushed. That's, I believe, the release day is the 21st of July.
That's my birthday. I find it funny that's coming out of my birthday. We'll
No
see.
kidding.
Manhattan Project, Ground Zero. We already covered. We covered it a few days ago. A lot of bullshit there. There's no reason for kids to hide under their desks in the '60s except for fear, just like the Corona hoax shit.
Sorry, 250th anniversary. So how many jubilees is that? So
that's precisely 10.
Happy early birthday, Zach.
I got to tell you guys one interesting thing about that movie coming out about the bomb in the light of this whole Russia-Ukraine thing. For people who missed it last year, you had, by the way, the head of the United Nations, his name equals 201, and the United Nations has a department focused on nuclear weapons. That guy's name also equals 201. But last year, that guy on August 6th, the anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima, he said that, it's very probable that there will be some kind of nuclear disaster because of what's going on in Russia, Ukraine. So now we get the movie coming out about the bomb. And funny enough, Russia went into Ukraine for the first time on February 21st. The war officially began on February 24th, which is, if you guys didn't know, that's the day that the Gregorian calendar debuted in history, February 24th. But from the day that their military first went into Ukraine, February 21st, to the day that this film releases, July 21st, is 516 days. And why does it matter, 516? Well, just to keep it short and sweet, the words on the poster, Oppenheimer, the world forever changes, in gematria equals 516. And again, just movies, predictive programming, setting the stage, prepping the minds of the masses for what's next in reported world affairs. Again, I don't know how far off it is, but I feel like this between last year's speech at the United Nations and this film, we're getting next to we're getting close to their next big false flag event. And let's not forget that the last one, 9/11, again, they had to bring in all the terminology, Ground Zero, Manhattan. So, a funny thing is Putin's birthday is the day we invaded Afghanistan. And of course, the Russians were in Afghanistan before we were. And anyhow,
Putin shares a birthday with former Jesuit Superior General Vladimir Ladichowski. I do want to add, though, I think 24 February, Gregory the 13th, whether it was by papal bull, so the Gregorian calendar didn't start that day, but there was a significant event that Gregory the 13th approved Jesuit Christopher Clavius's calendar, but the calendar wasn't instituted until the 4th of October, 1582.
Which became instantly 10 days later or something, right? There was like a flashpoint at that moment. They recalculated everything.
October 4th became October 15th. And as we said before, you don't just apply 11 days here and there. It's a complicated system, but 11 days were lost from the 4th of October. October 4th became October 15th in 1582 when Go ahead.
The 11 days lost, I think is funny too, because in the most simple cipher, Pope equals 52, like the 52 weeks in the calendar year. But if you take numerology and run the alphabetic order in reverse, Pope equals 11 instead, the master number. So new calendar for the Pope, 11 days just gone.
They have this literal Irish Roman Catholic Cillian Murphy playing the Jew Oppenheimer. Are you kidding me? Does it get any more obvious than that? Who is presenting Jesuit theater? Who's presenting the show? I mean, an actual Irishman who was born and raised Catholic, who says every once in a while he's agnostic and then admits, you know what, the Roman Catholicism still shapes who I am. For friggin' real, and this guy's absolute priest bait if you look at him. Give me a break.
Also, in this movie, they recreate the bombs that were tested. And
what, that fat man and little boy? I like to rape boys, the fat man?
No, not those. The ones they tested out in the desert. And what I feel, and I think this movie is going to show, they're not intentionally, but I believe when they filmed the original explosions, if you ever look at the how Hollywood looking, all those tests were out in the desert. Those mushroom clouds didn't look that big. They can make optically, because I'm in the video, they can optically make a bomb look huge. And there was no footage of the bomb dropping on Nagasaki. Look at those pictures. You can't tell the scope and the size.
By the way, Christopher Nolan, born Catholic, Catholic grade school, England and America, Catholic upbringing before he got into
one of his brothers Jesuit trained plot writer. The other brother a Jesuit assassin, not an actual ordained Jesuit, but a literal murders other people assassin. What's the one brother? Jonathan, I think, is the Jesuit trained, and Michael is the actual murderer.
Yeah, the one you don't hear about.
Right, that's right. Matthew, I'm sorry. Jonathan is the Jesuit-trained script writer, and Matthew Francis, a literal murdering assassin that gets
They're like
away with it.
The Booth brothers from the Surratt plot against Lincoln. There's 3 brothers involved in that, and they all played assassins in Julius Caesar before they killed him. And then, as a homage to that production, they built a huge statue of William Shakespeare and put it with the money from that show, they put it in the Central Park in New York. And so they killed him. The same guy who killed him is the guy who stabs him in the play Casca. I played the role one time. Julius Caesar, Ides of March.
Wow. Well done, John Paul. John Paul, anything else for Zach as we start winding down?
Yeah, not to beat a bread and circus dead horse, but let's try. If we don't have time for this, it's cool.
Go ahead.
Suffice to say that sports is bullshit. But Game 6, the 2013 NBA Finals, Kawhi Leonard is at the line. Spurs are up 2 points. He has 2 free throws. He misses one of 2. The ball comes down to the other end with less than 20 seconds left. LeBron James famously misses a 3-point shot. In my view, the San Antonio Spurs flopped around like the Three Stooges underneath the rim, allowing Chris Bosh to get the rebound out to Ray Allen, who hits the famous shot. They tie the game. They win it in overtime, and they take that championship from the Spurs. The Heat win the championship when the Spurs were 1 second away, 1 free throw away from winning it. Famously, Greg Popovich took the whole team out to a fancy wine and dine Italian dinner that night to console them. But I wonder if it wasn't like, hey, guys, this is what being in the big show is really all about. We have to take a dive. We're the better team. You took a perfect dive. Everybody bought it. Congratulations. We'll even get you a ring next year. But, that's my view of the whole thing. And now that the Spurs hype is, I tell you, that morale of the average person in this town is up just because of the excitement about the Spurs are back again. It's like an idol to a lot of people in this community. Sure. So not to tear down hopes, but Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, Popovich, they took a dive in the ring, and they're all going to the Hall of Fame next week. So
during the press conference, didn't Josh Allen get all phony, teary-eyed, and say you couldn't have scripted it any better, and have to look away?
Josh Allen, the football player, but Ray Allen, the basketball player, may well have said something.
Right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Well done. I don't know if there's Zach. You're not a computer. Just pull that out. But great job, John Paul.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I mean, that very well, it could have been that he gave him the news right before the thing. I kind of feel like these guys, I don't know exactly how they do it, but these guys are definitely in on the script, and it's obvious when they play down and allow other teams to come back. I mean, you see, the NBA is one of the most obvious rigged leagues there are, and I mean, even a lot of sports fans will say they don't watch NBA anymore because it seems so rigged, but then they'll watch football and all these other sports that are arguably just as bad. For people who don't realize, though, LeBron, the first finals he ever won was the season that got shortened to 66 games, which was the 2011/12 season. 66 is the 11th triangular number for the record. But again, 66 game season. LeBron wins his first finals in gematria. LeBron equals 66. Use numerology. LeBron James equals 66. And, 66 books in the Bible. They call him King James. The King James version, 66 books. He ended up winning his first finals with the Cavs on the real King James's birthday, June 19th. Again, people didn't get that joke because King James's son was King Charles. Those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War were called Cavaliers. This year, one of the most obvious rituals that you'll ever see in sports. On the day of the King Charles coronation, which was May 6th, 5-6, the last king of England died at age 56. But on that day, LeBron had the first home game for the Lakers versus Curry and the Warriors, and LeBron won that day, becoming 5-6 at home versus Steph Curry in the playoffs, the two guys born in the same hospital in Akron, Ohio. Anthony Davis, who went to the University of Kentucky, that was also the day of the Kentucky Derby. It was 56 days after Anthony Davis's birthday. D'Angelo Russell, who also went to Kentucky, got his 56th career win with the Lakers. In the Kentucky Derby, which equals 56 in gematria, just like Royal Family equals 56, like LA Lakers equals 56. In the Kentucky Derby, Todd Pletcher had the two favorite horses in posts 5 and 6, and one of those horses' names was King's Barnes. But anyway, it was all about these king rituals. They did several of them, but the May 6th was just so obvious, the day of the coronation, because again, King James, his son's King Charles. But that whole series was about the king. And by the way, the name Stephen, or Stephen, it's spelled the same way, Steph Curry, Stephen Curry, whatever you want to call him. I think his real name's Stephen. They just call him Steph to sound cooler. But after that series, which was all about the king, then the next series was all about LeBron versus the Joker. And of course, in cards and games, Joker cards can trump everything. So... And for the record, the name Donald has the same gematria as Joker, 23. And remember, Donald Trump was in court in New York the week after they filmed the latest Joker scenes there. And anyway, it's a lot to go
that's
over.
That's why they call it the wild card.
Right.
I want to throw out real quick. I don't know how much of a. Well, let me just throw this out. I've got a fan. Flying Monkey Rick, who's looking at Zach's article workup on the death of Mark Passio's wife. You think the numbers are pointing towards some kind of orchestration there? Ex-wife, right? Were they divorced before the death, or let's see here, died on February 2, 2020. What's her name? Her name is Barbara Passio. Do you have a strong opinion on this, Zach?
Here's what I'll say about Mark Passio. Again, he always brags about how he was handpicked by Anton LaVey of the Church of Satan. And for the record, Anton LaVey died 201 days before the Pope's birthday and 201 days after his own birthday. So he had a double 201 on the founder of the Church of Satan. I've called into Mark Passio's show probably at least 50 times, and he's only taken my call one time ever, and he took it at the very end of episode 201. Never took it in the 30-some calls before that, and hasn't taken it in the 20-some calls since. And anyhow, when his wife died, or I don't know if they were married or his girlfriend or whatever it was, or I think they were because her name was Barbara Passio. They must have been married. She did die on the kill date for the month. Again, for people who aren't familiar with what the kill date is, there's one day a month that has numerology of 44, 64, and 28. And in gematria, again, gematria has 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards numerology. The word kill equals 44, 64, 28. So she died on the kill date. And when she died, I just noticed that her name, Barbara Passio, equals 122 and 50, just like San Francisco equals 122 and 50. And the word satanic also equals 122 and 50. And Mark Passio equals 122. Again, the Satanic Church was founded in San Francisco on the 122nd meridian. And yeah, so I mean,
this is all fair to point out. There's no one saying good, bad, or indifferent. They're just saying, by the numbers, it looks like there is an orchestration here.
Yeah, San Francisco, St. Francis.
Oh, well done.
It's 2.
San Francisco is named after St. Francis of Assisi, just like Pope Francis. And for the record, Pope Francis also equals 122, just like the Jesuit motto, if you use numerology, Isus Hominum Salvator is 122. So
Franciscans, precursors to the Jesuits, the loving hippy dippy Catholic, but secret servants of the Venetians, managers of the animals, aka the other human beings that are not part of the sick elite of Rome and the Roman Empire there. And always just the bastion of peace and tranquility, floating around with the butterflies and being friends with the squirrels. Yeah, but what really happened with, and why is he really that influential in Catholic history? You need to look into it.
The Monarch butterflies, just like Project Monarch, just like Kong Skull Island. What a bunch of Jesuit theater. Zach, you don't ever have to call into the show here. You come in and co-host. You are absolutely always welcome. It's an absolute thrill to have you. Everybody loves it. My fans love it each and every time we have you on. It's been really enjoyable, and I am especially blessed to have all of my the co-hosts and friends that I have that came obviously prepared. William, Darnell, Hawkeye, John Paul, you guys did a phenomenal job feeding Zach with your own talent. So love you guys. Zach, I'll put this together and throw it all up, and you're absolutely more than welcome to download and re-upload anywhere that you want. I want to thank Zach for locking me on. The only place that I can go was Odyssey, and I got that as a suggestion from my friend Zach Hubbard. So even though Odyssey's a pain in the ass, I don't have any other home that will reliably upload my shit. So good old libertarian Jew Jeremy Kaufman, got to thank him for that. Zach, get that other book done, finished, and put it out, and we'll bring it back when you're ready to talk about that as well.
All right. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Great stream, and I look forward to coming back. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Much love, Zach.
Happy
Cheers.
early birthday.
Yes.
Cheers,
Happy birthday coming up real soon.
Yeah.
Turning 40.
Love you guys. Oh, where the hell? Take care. Be blessed, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.